We're continuing in module number 7 about developing the care minister. Now there again, you'll see at the top of that page, on page 33, gives you the reference of page 105. Just go ahead and open your book there, page 105. Because what I'm going to deal with you now is going to become the how-to. When we were talking about CARE, we were talking about what we do. Now we're going to begin to talk about how do we do that. And by the way, the CARE, the CARE, is another thing that you're going to have to be able to memorize, not exactly as the words are there, but you're going to know to be able to talk about CARE. What does that stand for? Okay, and I'll tell you in a little while why we need that. So now we're going to talk about the connections. We're going to talk about those things that we are going to do to apply our ministry to other people. Again, you'll find it on page 105 of your handbook. There are all complete details for you there. So it'll be useless to gather a group of enthusiastic people and send them out with a charge to care for others if we never explain to them how to interact with the households we've assigned to them. So, a few observations. First of all, it is essential to know that the care ministry network has to be applied intentionally and purposefully, or else it will fail. While the local church is not a system, not unlike the physical body, it needs systems to survive. The care ministry network is one such system. Underline that, please. The care ministry network is one such system. What we are about to unfold is the crux. The crux, C-R-U-X, or the heartbeat of the care ministry system. Our purpose-designed system is the framework of a care pastor's function, where it becomes the bonding agent that causes people to unite. When a culture of care prevails in a congregation, people believe they are accepted and sense that they belong, and then they will respond overwhelmingly positive to that environment. When we establish a meaningful system of love and care, we set the conditions for the love of God to flow down the aisles of our church so it can flow down the streets of our city. We have to start in the church. Living in community and caring for one another result in a healthy church. And the only way any church can grow is being healthy. All right? The acrostic CARE at the top of page 34 describes what a care pastor does, while the points of contact convey how we do it. Highlight that short sentence, that short little paragraph, please. I've said that at least 10 times, but I want you to see that clearly. So, what does a care pastor do? The care ministry is one of presence. It's one of presence. We can never do it without one-on-one interaction. Contact is inevitable and stands at the forefront of an active care ministry. Now, we said this last evening. I said we will often repeat that, and here it is again. The care ministers do not replace their pastors, they represent them. So the care ministry network is an extension of the lead pastor. So make every effort to develop a connection between the members and the lead pastor. As I said, if you call somebody for a happy birthday, hey Joe, I'm just calling to say that on behalf of Pastor Paul and the whole congregation, happy birthday. But you always refer to the pastor. You're an extension of the lead pastor. You don't replace, you represent the pastor, all right? To achieve your goal as a care minister, you should commit to staying in touch with your households. Now, our concept proposes 5 definite points of contact. It's in bold, but underline it. That's what we're going to talk about. Each of these is indispensable to the successful outcome of the care ministry. Now, ladies and gentlemen, look this way. We are now going to talk about the actual functioning of the care ministry. We've just about talked about what we do. And now we're going to talk about how we're going to do it. And this is really the heartbeat of how we do the Care Ministry Network. The 5 points of contact. And there they are listed. Well, let me go back up. Since the 5 points of contact form a basic understanding of the entire ministry, it is essential to recognize, accept, and embrace these as core elements, 2 words, core elements of a care minister's primary ministry assignment. All right, the 5 points of contact, bottom of page 34, personal contact, Sunday connection, monthly contact, 4 is celebrative connection, and 5 is Fifth Sunday fellowship. All right, we're going to talk about those 5. We're going to break them down. If there are any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. I want everybody to be clear and to understand what we are talking about. So first of all, personal contact. I've already mentioned that previously, and I tried to underscore that, but here we are now, and we've got to take time to work through the personal contact. So when we considered the care model, C-A-R-E, we stipulated that care pastors, underline again, must contact their households at least once per month. Underline that, please. Must contact their households at least once per month. In this section, we're going to discuss the details of these contacts. How do we do the personal contact? The first contact should be personal, in person, one-on-one, eye to eye. This first contact is critically important and essential, and as such, it is really non-negotiable. The first contact is the doorway to future ministry success and effectiveness. If you try to skip the personal contact, you may as well give up. So after their commissioning and appointment, underline that please, it'll make more sense in a little while. After their commissioning and appointment, the care minister should make their first contact within 6 weeks. I want to change that 6 to 4. And I purposely said 6 because the handbook may mean 6 or may say 6. Then you hear me say 4 and you may think that I'm contradicting the handbook. So I give you the right one, but then I say delete that one and replace it with 4. All right? I mean, after you've been commissioned, after 6 weeks, if you've not made a personal contact, you may as well go and play for LSU. I don't know what that means, but nevertheless. All right, so here we go. How do you do that? First one is a visit to their home. Now let me say this to you, ladies and gentlemen. You can never learn so much so quickly about a family than a visit to their home. Now, I'm not saying that you're going to learn how rich or poor, how clean or not clean they are, what a nice home they have or don't have, nice furniture they have. No, that's not what I mean. Well, you may want to look at that, but that's not what I mean. I mean, you can learn something from a person or people much better than when you visit them at home than in any other way. There's no better way to know people. There's no other way to learn that much about people. I want to read a story to you. It should be in your handbook, I think on page 109. Yeah, well, it starts on page 108. Let me jump over to page 109. You can follow along if you want to. It says in the second paragraph at the top of page 109, it says, learning about people by means of a visit to their home has nothing to do with how appealing or unappealing a home may be, how kept or unkempt it may be, or even what their furniture looks like. It has nothing to do with those things. It's about learning something about the people you may never have caught in any other way. Perhaps this could best be illustrated by citing the first visit of a care minister couple to an unfamiliar family. In other words, a family that they had never met before. They don't really know who they are. So the care minister couple arrives at this home to meet the couple that they're coming to visit that they've never met before. And so after they had set up an appointment to see the couple, they arrived at the prescribed time. They were greeted very friendly at the door and then guided to the family room. The husband suggested where they should sit and made himself comfortable in his own recliner. His wife, too, sat in her favorite chair. As the care pastor couple sat down, the wife noticed a picture of a young man in military uniform on the coffee table. It was obvious that this picture had some significance. Is this picture of the young man related to you? She carefully asked with a gentle smile. Yes, the lady said. That is a picture of our son that was killed in Afghanistan. It was impossible to miss the pain in her voice as she said it. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. It could not have been easy, I'm sure. No, it was definitely not easy. The husband now pitched in. It was the hardest thing of our lives. And we're still not over the shock of it all. The wife became somewhat emotional at this point and silently wiped a tear from her cheek. The care pastor continued by compassionately asking, how old was he? He was only 20 years old, the father said. Do you know what happened? Did they tell you how he died? Now, let me quickly interrupt the flow of the story by saying many people at this point will steer away from the subject and try to change the subject, not wanting to cause sorrow to the couple. But let me help you on this. People want to talk about the loved one they have lost. They want to share their heartache. Ignoring it will cause unbelievable pain. Having shown interest in the picture and asking what had happened to the son was the most genuine way of connecting with them. But let's get back to the story. Well, they told us as much as they knew at that time, which was not very comforting, the father said with a deep sigh. Slowly but surely they shared the details they had received. Painfully he described what the chaplain conveyed to them and went on to say how his wife woke up that morning missing her son badly. She said that she could not wait to see him and secretly wondered if he may not surprise them with an unannounced visit. She just felt something tug deep on her inside concerning our boy. So when the doorbell rang, she knew it was him. She knew it was her son. His lip began to quiver as he lowered his head. We both rushed to the front door with great anticipation, only to see the chaplain standing there and not our son. My wife looked at me and words were unnecessary. She fell into my arms, began to cry bitterly. She knew what that meant. "May I please come in?" the chaplain asked politely. "Yes, sure, yes, please come in." The chaplain came in and sat on the sofa. My head was spinning like a top. I could literally feel the blood drain out of my head. The father said, "Mr. and Mrs. Sanders, I'm sorry that I have to bring you some bad news today," the chaplain started. My wife began to cry hysterically. I couldn't honestly remember all he said. I lowered my head into my cupped hands, and all I could think of was my son. His life replayed before my eyes as if someone had turned on a video, the father said, obviously very emotional. It felt as though my heart was going to explode. It felt as though our world had come to an end. "I'm so sorry. So terribly sorry you had to go through this," the care pastor said. "Were they able to tell you the exact date your son died?" "Yes, it was on October 15, 2012. And all along I thought our son was going to surprise us," Mother said. "That's what I felt the whole day, how wrong I was." Pain was still shallow in her emotions. "If I may ask, what was his name?" "Charles," the father said. "His name was Charles, but we called him Charlie." The mother added, "And he was all we had. All." There was a moment of silence as she discreetly slipped her hand under that of her husband. By this time, the care pastor couple even became emotional too. You can't help to feel the pain of people in the suffering. That's why we need people who care. The couple continued to share their feelings, later even started sharing some humoristic stories of their son. The atmosphere lightened and the father said, "Oh, we're so sorry, we didn't mean to load all our burdens on you." "Oh no," the care pastor said. "We're so glad you told us. We would never have known." And the rest of the visit was very cordial and pleasant. It ended with all four sharing delightful stories while they were sipping hot cider, enjoying ginger cookies. A classic example of effective care ministry. So there are a few things that I want you to see in this story, making a teaching moment out of it. It's on page 112, under the heading that says Observation. There are a few things in this visit that I want to highlight for your attention. The first thing I want you to take note of is this. The moment the couple responded to the question of the picture on the coffee table and related their pain to the care pastors, they instantaneously connected with each other. They became friends in a moment. This is exactly what we are attempting to do. Hopefully not always through tragedies, though. The second point I want you to take note of, top of page 113, is that while the care pastor was leading the conversation, his wife was carefully taking notes of certain things that were said. For example, the young man's name, the date of the tragedy, his birthday. Somewhere during the conversation, she had permission to jot down some notes, so she was making notes. Another reason why you should not do these kind of visits on your own. So one will lead the conversation, the other one can make notes at the same time. A third thing I want you to notice is the importance of two people making the visit together. I just mentioned that. The fourth important element to note is that the care pastors may never have known about this heart-rending occurrence in the couple's lives if they had not made this visit to their home. The fifth striking observation I want to highlight is the vital follow-up that flowed out of this visit. As I continue to read, on the anniversary date of their son's death, the care pastor made a personal call to their home. And after Jim answered the phone, the care pastor said, "Hey, Jim, this is Eddie. How are you doing?" "Oh, well, I guess we're doing fine, as good as we could, I guess." "I understand," Eddie said. "That's why I'm calling, Jim. Pastor Shepard wanted us to call to let you know that we remember that this is the day that Charlie died. We care about you, friend." There was a moment of silence before Jim responded, "Wow, Ed, I had no idea you would remember." Yes, it's still tough. Jim, on behalf of all of us here at the Caring Place Church, we want you to know that we are praying that you will sense the comfort of the Comforter. May God strengthen you in Lucille today and every day. And please know we will always be there for you. Thanks, Ed. Thank you very much. When I saw it was you calling, I turned on the speakerphone of my phone, and Lucille is so blessed because of your love and care. Thanks, my friend. We'll never forget this. Also thank Pastor for us, will you? I will, Jim, but before I let you go, is it okay if I pray a short prayer with you and Lucille over the phone? Ladies and gentlemen, can you just imagine if that's going to happen all over Glad Tidings? If we call and let somebody know we've not forgotten that your mom had died, your dad had died, your spouse, your child, and we say to them, "We have not forgotten, and we are praying for you today." Can you just think the bond that's beginning to build? And that all comes when we connect with people and we reach out to them, and in this case, with a personal visit to their home. So what am I trying to underscore? Primarily, I'm trying to tell you that that personal contact is vitally important. And I'm also saying that a visit to people's home is the best way you can make that personal contact. Now, as our oldest son, John, he always says, however, comma, I want to say to you the best way to make a personal contact is a personal visit to people's home. However, comma, it's not that easy these days anymore. Many people just don't want strangers to come to their home. And we can understand that in the times that we're living in and things that are going on. So if people don't want you to come to their home, how about inviting them to your home? Well, as a matter of fact, they will be less likely to come to your home than even having you come to their home. So a home visit is probably not the easiest way to do it. However, comma, it is still the best way. It is possible in any way. When you make your first personal contact, try to make it in people's home. Trying to invite them to your home most likely is not going to work. So what are the alternatives? It's on page 35 of your guide that we're working out of, under number A, suggestions. Meet them in a restaurant or in a coffee shop. Meet them in the church's cafe. Meet them before or after church. Thank God for the insight of I believe it was Pastor Carl that built that big cafe, made the big foyer into a cafe. applause to him. That's great. We can use that not only to have a cup of coffee, but that can now become the major meeting place for all of our care ministers to meet with their people first time in the cafe. It's there, it's available. So simply call your people, say, let's meet just before church, come a few minutes early, or if we can meet after church, let's meet in the cafe. I'll get you a cup of coffee and we can have a, that's probably the best way to do it these days. However, what I do want to underscore loud and clear with red and bold, personal contact is vitally important. You will not be effective and successful if you do not have a good, strong, personal first connection. All right? If you have any questions, please jot them down. Don't be afraid to ask questions. There are no such things as wrong questions. You're not going to ask a question, somebody else is going to ask the question, and you're going to say, I wanted to ask that question. Now, he's looking smart and I'm not. Your fault. All right? All right, the purpose of the personal contact is mainly to become acquainted. And then number two, to explain the intention of the care ministry. Using the care ministry network of definition. The care ministry network great, good for most of you. Now, here we go. The next point says, using care, C-A-R-E, clarify expectations and explain how the ministry intends to provide care. Here we go. Now we're going to combine the two, all right? Now, somebody would come up to you and say, hey, I see you're a care minister. You're wearing your badge every Sunday. It says you're a care minister. What is that all about? Wow. What is that? What do you mean care ministry? What is the care ministry? What is your answer going to be? If somebody comes up to you and say, tell me what is the care ministry all about? What are you going to say to them? You're going to say to them, the care ministry is a proven and authentic system, a congregational care system that enables God's people to care for one another. If you want to add consistently, that's fine. But please, when somebody asks you, what is this care ministry that everybody's talking about? Don't look at them and say, the care ministry is... Don't go back to first grade, okay? I mean, use your own words, not your own words, but your own expression. Oh, the care ministry, what the care ministry really is that it is a proven and authentic congregational care system that enables us to provide care to all of the members in the church. Oh, cool. So how are you going to do that? What are you going to say to them? This is a smart guy sitting over there. So how are you going to do? Oh, that sounds cool, but how are you going to do that? Oh, actually, what we're going to do is C-A-R-E. Now, obviously, please don't look at them and say, we're going to do C-A-R-E. I wish Brother Don Sistrunk, I wished I could use an acronym and tell the story of what we experienced on the deacon board with an acronym at one point in time, but we cannot tell that story. So don't tell people, Oh, don't tell Pastor. We're going to do C-A-R-E. See, you're going to do C-A what now? You can say, oh, we're going to, I can't hear you. So we're going to contact. So how are you going to do that? Well, number one, we're going to contact. You think that's going to work? So what are you going to say? No, you're going to use your C-A-R-E, but actually what we are going to do as care ministers is we're going to contact our certain families on a regular basis. Oh, okay. But then also in doing that, we are going to make ourselves available so that they can know how to get a hold of us. And then we're going to reach out in prayer. We're going to pray for them. That's going to be the powerful part of our ministry. We're going to reach out in prayer to them. And then to the best of our abilities, we're going to try to live an exemplary life for everybody to follow so that we can all become one in Christ. That makes sense? So those are the two reasons why you've got to memorize the definition and you've got to memorize the care outline. If you have those two, you're going to be able to answer all the questions when people ask you about that. All right? Everybody okay? So, what is the definition? Excuse me. Who told you you can go home? Everybody is here, right? Okay. Let's recite the definition. Here we go. The care. Some of you are still struggling to end. All right, let's all say it. All right, the Care Ministry Network is a... Just leave out the consistently. It'll confuse people, really. I'm going to take it out of the publication. That's what it means, but it's confusing. If you say to other people and you end by saying to somebody that's asking what it's all about and you end with consistently. So the book says one thing, I'm telling you another thing, all right? Just wipe out consistently. All right, we've got that. We need to move on. We're falling behind time, but I want to make sure that we get it all under the belt. All right. Page 35, third point from the bottom, it says verify you have their correct contact information and their personal details. All right, let me just put it back in focus. We're talking about the purpose of the personal contact when you meet the people. You want to, number one, become acquainted, put names and faces together. You want to explain to them the intention of the care ministry. Then number three, you want to verify that you have the correct contact information that actually will be sent to you from the church office. They will provide you with the names of the people, the addresses, and the information of the people that have been assigned to you. But you do want to check and make sure that you have the correct information when you make that first personal contact. Remember, top of page 36, you are following a process. When you reach out to your households, they would have received a letter from the church already. One of the primary purposes of the letter is to inform them of your appointment as their care pastor. Now, don't miss this. The church office is going to send the family a formal letter saying that you have been appointed as their care minister and that you will be contacting them. Now, If you do not contact them, you're going to become a failure. And you're going to fail the whole system and the whole program. So you see, this thing is designed in a way that it develops, it evolves, it's dynamic. So once you've gone through this, you will be selected. If you are selected to be a care minister, you will be announced to the congregation, you'll be anointed with oil, you'll receive a certificate, you'll be authorized, and you'll be released. But the people then will know that they have been assigned to you, or that you've been assigned to them, and that you will be making contact with them. You don't call them, you don't follow up, you don't meet with them. You've made the whole program fail. So you have a responsibility. Once you've signed up, the whole machine is going to start working. Does that sound like we understand what we're saying? All right? Okay, good. Now, the framework of a visit. The first visit is crucial and sets the pace for future contact. It will mostly be different from all future engagement. Now, you may feel anxious and nervous to make this first contact, and that's okay. Most people experience some form of anxiety when they connect with unknown people. Preparation, therefore, is the key to develop your confidence. So again, if you will, in your handbook, turn to page 117. And again, you will see a lot of what we're saying in the guide is in the book. The book, if you just start reading it from the front to the back, it will help you and will enlighten you. And I would highly suggest, after this weekend's conference, that you do start. You can even start this evening or start tomorrow or Monday, no later. Start reading this book, your handbook. Start reading it from the front cover to the back cover. I mean that. I don't mean you've got to read through it in one setting. But each one of you, starting as soon as possible, read this book. A lot of things that we have said in this seminar or conference is going to be illuminated when you read this book. It's going to help you unbelievably. If you read through the book, it'll already make a lot of sense. You read the book and you go through this and you go back and read it again, everything will become very clear in your mind and in your spirit. All right, so this is on page 117. It starts with first of all, it talks about the purpose of the contact. We've just addressed that. Now we're going into the framework, and on page 117, it talks about the anatomy of a visit. There you will see the things that are listed on page 36. At bottom of page 117 in your handbook is preparation for the visit. And then you will see in your guide, it says call ahead, preparation. You'll see it's all listed there. At the bottom of page 118, preparation in prayer. All those points are there. I'm pointing that out to you very clearly because we don't have to spend time talking about that here. It's all printed for you. All you have to do is read it and follow through with what we're talking about. Is that clear to everybody? Did I make that clear, or am I kind of confusing you? All right? So the points, again, on page 36 and going on, are already printed in your handbook, and I've given you the page references starting at page 117. So instead of us spinning wheels here, go back home and read it. So in your note column, on the left-hand side, write something like, read these pages, 117 through 119. However, I'm underscoring, start as soon as possible, read the whole book from page 1 to page number end. All right. Now, on page 120 of your handbook, I'm going to give you the blanks to fill in. But on page 120, you will see the conversation. You see there the same thing again? So the conversation is already in your handbook. And the first line on point number 3 says, most people find it challenging to engage in a conversation with people they had not met before. The next paragraph, and I just want to stop there for a little while, says to jumpstart the conversation, we recommend using the acrostic FORM as a tool, F-O-R-M. This proven approach is useful whether you plan to make a home visit or meet with members of your flock elsewhere. Once you have begun a conversation, using the FORM method is equally effective to sustain productive and enjoyable discussion. So when you use FORM, it is very easy to start a conversation. I'm going to see. I'm going to walk over to this handsome young man over here. Have we ever met before?
No, sir.
I didn't think so. That's why I'm maybe. Well, you feel free to sit down. You're okay. Thank you. So now we're going to talk about form. All right? So just follow along in this. Hey, my name is John. Your name is?
Josh.
Josh. Whoa, that's a nice name, Josh.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have a cousin by the name of Josh. Great. How long have you been here in Lake Charles, Josh?
12 years.
12 years. Oh, great. Do you have family over here?
No, sir.
You don't have family?
Well, my fiance.
Your fiance.
And my daughter.
Well, yeah, I would regard them as family. That's pretty cool. Yeah, you better. Yeah. So, if you have no other family, where are they? Where's your family?
In Leesville, Pickering.
Okay. Is that where you grew up?
No, sir. My dad was active duty.
Okay. So where did you grow up? Just about 20 different places, right? So how many schools did you attend?
7.
You know what, Josh? I attended 11. That's what I did. Man, it's crazy, isn't it? Right. So are your parents still alive?
Yes, sir.
Oh, great, great. And where do they live now?
In Fort Polk, or right outside of Fort Polk.
Oh, okay. Do you have any siblings?
Yes, sir. 2 sisters.
2 sisters. Where do you fit into that picture?
I'm the oldest brother.
The oldest. Have you been a good brother?
When I left the house, I started being a better brother.
I can understand that. I can understand. So, Josh, what do you do?
I'm a millwright.
Millwright.
Yes, sir.
Now, what in the world is a millwright, Josh?
I'll work on mechanical equipment, any rotating equipment, pumps, motors, fans, compressors, turbines.
You know, I was kind of thinking that way, but I didn't want to sound smart. I didn't want to make a fool of myself. That's interesting, though, huh?
Yes, sir.
So how long have you been part of that?
5 or 6 years.
5, 6 years. You like it?
I do.
Oh, that's good. You know, so many people don't like their jobs. They're just working for a paycheck, but they don't really like what they're doing. So, yeah, it's refreshing to know that you like your job. That's great. So, what do you do for recreation? Do you play golf? What do you do?
I like
Fish?
Fishing.
Oh, fishing. I guess that's why you moved to Lake Charles, right? So, What kind of fishing do you do? What do you like?
I like to do both, fresh and saltwater.
Oh, okay. All right. What was the favorite fish to catch?
I've been really enjoying catching bass.
Bass. Oh, wow. Is there a special trick to catch bass?
A lot of patience.
Patience. Oh, really? No. Why do you have patience?
Oh, 'cause I'm not very good at it right now.
Yeah. Well, man, that's interesting. You know, I went fishing one day, sat there the whole day, Josh. Caught nothing. I got up there and said, fishing is not for me. I've got better things to do than sit a whole day and watch a dauber. So fishing is not for me. Well, somebody told me one day, it's a good thing. If I had caught several fish that day, I would have been caught. And I would have become a fisherman. So perhaps it was a good thing I didn't catch some fish, you know. But hey, I don't want to waste your time, Josh. The reason why I wanted to meet with you is just to tell you a little bit more about the care ministry. You received our letter, right?
Yes.
Just pretend you did. Well, I'm so happy that we could meet today. And let me tell you a little bit about our ministry, why I wanted to connect, what you can expect, and what I will be doing for you. And ladies and gentlemen, I just did form. You went through it with me? So where did I start? Started with his,
Family,
then I went to,
occupation,
then I went to,
recreation,
then I went to.
the message.
See how easy it is? I've never met Josh. I feel like we're friends already. It's so easy if you just use acronyms and when you just begin to talk. And it's so easy. I'm telling you, use form. You don't only have to use form when you're involved in ministry, you can use it every day wherever you go. Sit around the airport, somebody sits next to you and they start talking to you, and instead of sounding dumb, you just start using form. Oh, great. Do you have any family? Or where are you from? I usually like to ask people, where are you from? And then I just start talking to them, because from, also F. Easy. So read through this. I've tried to demonstrate it, and I think in demonstrating this, you will remember it better. But when you read the information out of your handbook, you'll understand how to do that conversation very easy. Now, some essential points. Well, perhaps just a little one up. The message, first of all, the actual purpose of your visit. Pardon me just a moment. Lunch is 12:15, okay? Oh, it's right now. Yeah, I think I'm just going to continue with that. All right. So the message is actually the purpose of your visit. So the actual purpose of your visit is not only to get acquainted with Josh, but actually to refer to your outline and bring the purpose of your personal contact to him. And so the essential points concerning the visit, then again, that's on page 123 in your handbook. First of all, the first visit should be cordial, must be by design, must put your newfound friends at ease, and your primary purpose is to make contact with, ideally, each member of this household if you can. So remember, after you've met, I did not do that with Josh. Pray before you leave. Be sure to ask them before we go in separate ways, what is that I specifically can pray about? Pay close attention to their prayer requests. Please underline that. Pay close attention to their prayer requests. It very well may be the key that opens the door to building a healthy relationship. Then, of course, pray with them. Then depart graciously. Express your appreciation to this household. Build a bridge for future contact. The way you exit this likely will be the way you enter on the next occasion. Assure them you will look for them at church and other church events. Then C is alertness and sensitivity. Take careful note, pay attention to the household situation, the needs, the spiritual state, activities, interests, hobbies, and the like. And then confirm you have the correct personal contact details, birthdays, and the rest. All right, on page 124, please, on point number 5 at the top of page 38, where it says log the visit, please write next to that page 124. So in your guide, just write next to number 5, log the visit, write down page 124, and again, log the visit is all in your handbook. Reflective notes is B, just giving you the blank. Make notes of everything you can remember, not in front of them, but after you have separated. This practice is another reason why you should do the work of a ministry in a team of 2. First visit report. After you've completed the first visit report, submit it and be sure to follow the guidelines of the leadership team, whatever system they're going to bring to you. There are so many different apps and stuff that can be used. Although reporting sometimes may be a less than pleasant task to people, it is central to the ongoing success of the ministry. All right, accountability. If we do not maintain accountability, we soon might lose focus and interest in what we are doing. Because people rarely do what is expected, they only do what is inspected. So develop a binder, either a hard copy paper or even electronic version, with the pertinent details of your household. Can you draw a little bracket around that? Please develop your own little contact system, whether you do it hard copy or in an electronic system. Please keep this so that you can know people's names, addresses, contact information, anniversaries, birthdays, and all the rest of that. All right, so by being alert, you can gain insight into household members that are not present, and all the rest that is listed there at the bottom of the page: moods, relationship, attitudes, work situations, and spiritual interest or need. Right again next to that list of stuff, page 124, so you can read all of that a little bit more. And that's basically where I'm going to stop for right now, with the end of the personal contact. When we come back, we're going to talk about, as far as I'm concerned, the most effective contact, which is point number 2, the Sunday connection. We're continuing on page 39. And we're going to talk about the Sunday connection. I just want to give you a reference quickly. Remember on page 34 of your guide, not the handbook, but your guide, the teaching guide, on page 34, there are the 5 points of contact listed over there. We've covered personal contact, and now we're going to move on to the Sunday connection. And to be very honest with you, that I think one of the greatest helps, other than your personal contact, the greatest help as far as I'm concerned, is the Sunday connection. And I'm going to tell you why in just a moment. So in the Sunday connection, we say that the care pastor should connect with each of their flocks every Sunday. Now underline those 2 words, every Sunday. But you've written in the word connect. It does not say contact. And I'm going to explain in a moment what I mean and what the difference is. So the care pastor or care minister should connect with each, underline the word each, of their flocks every Sunday, 2 words underlined. Now, when I say with each of their flocks, I'm not saying to each person. In other words, there's a mom and dad and 3 children. I'm not talking about 5 connections. I'm talking about 1. When you have connected with one of the adults in that group, you have connected with a family or with a flock. Okay? That makes sense. Or else that's going to be an overwhelming task. So if you have, say, the Smith family, if you contact the mother or the father or the husband or the wife, you've contacted the family, okay? So you've got to connect with each one of your 3 or 5 families, and you do not contact, and we're going to explain what is the difference. Now, this connection arguably can be the most powerful way to prevent people from falling through the cracks or slipping through the back door, because you are connecting with them every Sunday. Now, this contact does not necessarily have to be through a conversation or even a handshake. Okay? I want to say that again. This contact does not necessarily have to be through a conversation or even a handshake. It can be as simple as a nod of the head, thumbs up, wave of the hand, or any similar way of connecting. So, for instance, if I come to church, I'm a care minister, and I see one of my families. Let's say the bourgeois are part of one of my families. I see the chicken come walking up there. I see Pastor Darrell come up. He's not a pastor, one of my families. The moment I see him, all I look at, I make eye contact with him and I go like this. So what is he going to do? When I give him a thumbs up, he's going to? I didn't teach him that. He was smart enough to know that one. Right. So, okay, if I go see him, I'm going to give him a thumbs up. He's going to give me a thumbs up. What has just happened? We've connected. The moment we've connected, he knows that I know he's here. I know that he knows I've paid attention to him. What have I just told him? You matter. You matter. Exactly. So now I've related to him. You matter to me. You belong. You're important. You're part of the team. You've been acknowledged. That's all that matters. So once I've made that contact, I'm done. But I'm connecting. I don't have to go and talk to him. I can go to the next one. Your name again is? Shell. Seashell? Now, okay, he's also part of my family. So I made contact with him. I looked, oh, there he is. There you go. We've connected. Now, when we've connected, that is very important to know and to realize that something has just happened. It's more than a thumbs up. It's more than a wave of the hand. It's more than a nod. It is a connection that goes beyond any of that. Now, you'll see in just a moment, I'll say, from time to time, go a step beyond. Not every Sunday, not regularly, every month or whatever, but from time to time, just go a little beyond and say, hey, Darrell, good to see you, man. You doing good?
Yeah,
great to see you guys. Man, you're so faithful. I'm so glad you're here. God bless you, man. I don't do that every Sunday, but I do that from time to time. But every Sunday, I connect with him. I connect with him. We made connection. Now, we're building a relationship. And you will be amazed once you start doing that to see it. Not going to see that. You will. One more time. All right. You will see Okay, it's fine. You can see now. You will see how your flock are going to begin to look out for you. And many times before you can give them a thumbs up, they're going to give you a thumbs up. Or they're going to say, hey, John, hey, Billy, how? It builds that relationship in the church, and it creates an atmosphere within the church at the same time. Now, what's going to be funny is probably even tomorrow, or as soon as you've released all the pastors, you'll suddenly begin to see people on a Sunday morning all over the church. And people are going to begin to ask, hey, what's all this thumbs up about? And you're going to say, it is a care ministry. Oh, what is the care ministry? And you're going to say, you don't have to go there. All right? So you see how this whole builds. It just begins a way of living, and it brings life to everything. Okay, let's catch up quickly with some phrases over here in your notes. All right? It can be as simple as a nod of the head, thumbs up, or whatever, but you must make eye contact. Now, obviously that's important. Got to make eye contact. And then you've got to connect one-on-one periodically. I've just explained that to you. Now, very important. Be careful not to act as a big brother, big sister who is watching over them and recording their attendance. In other words, you're not going to go out there and with your little book. You're smarter than that. I'm just trying to tell you, you're not big brother or big sister. You're a care minister, all right? So don't act like a big brother or big sister. Most people do not like the feeling that somebody is watching or checking on them. So be discreet. Let it be natural. Let it just happen, all right? Now, there are two cases that we're going to address. Over here, the first one, if I do look around and I'm looking for one of my families and I don't see them, they're absent, they're not in church. So what do? In the norm, we would say, well, I hope they'll be back next Sunday. Well, you've just taken the first step to neglect. So you're not going to neglect and hope that they're going to come back next Sunday. You're going to call them. So call the absent household immediately after the service. And then there are some following steps that you can follow, and we're going to run through that pretty quickly. First of all, you can call, and perhaps let's call his name Willie for right now. Hey, Willie, this is John. Hey, buddy, I know the church is growing fast, but man, I didn't see you and Susie in church this morning. Everything okay? And the response, oh yeah, everything is okay. Thank you so much for calling. Man, my wife's family just showed up. They're on their way to New York. They came all the way from Waco, and they came through here, and they just stopped by unexpectedly, and we decided, well, we're going to spend the time with them around the pool. And Susie and I thought, well, if we just miss church one Sunday morning, probably won't go to hell. We'll probably be okay. So we just decided we'll stay at home and spend some time with them. So everything is fine. Tell Pastor Paul we'll be back in church next Sunday. That's fine. But yeah, everything is good. Thank you so much for calling. We appreciate that so very much. Everything is fine. Oh, that's great. Now again, what have you just done? You've just let them know that they are important, that they matter, and that you miss them, and that they're so important that you would call and ask if everything is okay. Now, what if you call the second point is crisis case? if there is a crisis indeed, then take the appropriate action steps. Now, what if I would call and Willie will tell me that, oh man, I am so sorry that we missed church. I meant to call you, I really did. But boy, with these two kids running around, I'm trying and feed them or whatever. Susie's in the hospital, she's not doing well. I don't know, I feel like a chicken with his head cut off. I'm sorry I didn't call, but thank you so much for calling. What? Hold on. Willie, did you say Susie's in the hospital? Yeah, she's in the hospital. Probably stay there, come out no sooner than Wednesday, Thursday perhaps, we don't know yet. Will it be okay if we just paid her a visit? Sure. Which hospital, which number, you get the information? Okay, we'll certainly be taking care of her. We'll go and visit her over there. But you, Willie, are you okay? Is there anything we can help you with? Oh, I'm just trying to figure it out with kids running around. I'm not quite used to it. I still don't know what I'm going to do with the next 2 days or whatever. Dad will get them to school, feed them on whatever. Hold on. So now, Willie, I'll call you back in about 30 minutes. Now, when I hang up with Willie, I call the other 3, 4, or 5 families in my group, and I tell them, first of all, Susie's in the hospital and she needs prayer. Will you help me to pray with Susie and pray for Willie and the kids, that God will bless them and help them and so on. And if there's some of you ladies that can perhaps help Willie by, even if you just take a dish over to him, or even if you just take some Chick-fil-A over to them, or whatever the case, let's help Willie in this crisis. Somebody can help you with taking the kids to school, that'd be great. So just give me a call if you can help, or call Willie directly. Now, what are you doing? Now you are building that relationship within your household. You don't have to call the church office. You don't have to get a committee to go and feed them or help them. You're doing it within your small group of 4 or 5 families, and you're taking care of them. Does that work? I wish I had time to tell you of all the reports we've received, how that specific point has worked. It's amazing. If you call somebody and they're in a crisis and you're there to help them in the crisis. Now, I do realize that we say over and over that the care ministry is not a matter of taking care of crisis, taking care of everyday care. But when we do take care of people on an everyday basis, there are sometimes crises that do come up, and when that happens, we've got to handle them probably some way, somehow, in what I have just described. Now, obviously, after I've hung up with Willie, I've talked to the rest of the people. What am I going to do now? Sit back and do nothing? No. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to call my care shepherd. I'm going to tell my care shepherd what's going on, because the care shepherd then can decide whether he's also going to go to the hospital, and if he's serious enough, to also let Pastor Paul know what's going on. So in that way, we are feeding the system and we're putting the avenues of communication into play. That's how we take it from the Sunday connection. If people are not in the crisis, we handle it. If people are in the crisis, we take the appropriate action. All right, so at the bottom of page 39, let me give you the blanks real quickly. If there is a crisis indeed, then take the appropriate action step, make a hospital visit, call other flock members, as I've just explained, inform your care shepherd, or arrange for assistance from the various households, like I also explained. Now, we don't go into too much detail with that stuff, because every situation changes. They're not all the same. You'll have one like this, the next one will be totally different. That's why we just give you some pointers and ideas of this is what may happen and this is how you may handle it, but you will have enough common sense to know how to adjust that as you go along, as long as you have the basis of what we have already discussed over here. Then on the top of page 40, we're talking about death in the household. In case of death in the household, obviously, you've got to call the care shepherd immediately. If you cannot reach your care shepherd, call the lead pastor. or one of the staff pastors immediately. When it comes to death, take the shortest route to get the message to the top. Call and or alert other households in your flock for prayer. So in other words, after you've learned about the death within the family, you're going to call the other families in your flock and ask them for prayer. How many times have you heard people in the church say, oh, I didn't even know that person had died. Funeral is over and gone and beyond, and it's all done, and nobody even knew the person died. This way, at least we can begin to get the news out and especially ask for prayer. Next point is go to the household as soon as possible. When there is a death in the home, forget about all the other inhibitions. You need to get to that house. I think I need to say that again. If there's a death in the family, no inhibitions, get to that house as quickly as you can and be with the family. Again, you don't have to do much. Your presence is really what matters. Obviously, you would want to pray with them, but your presence is what really matters. When people realize that we care, it will make all the difference in the world. Now, then you will also, next point, help wherever possible and upon request. Then involve other households in your flock. We've covered some of that. And then, as far as possible, attend the funeral. And be sure to shake the grieving family's hands. Please, as far as possible, I know we're coming out of this pandemic and things are getting more normal, but if there's a funeral, well, there will be if the person has died, then attend the funeral. But don't just attend, slip in and slip out. Be sure to connect with the people, with the grieving family, shake their hands. You may or may not have time to pray with them, but at least connect with them. Let them know that you're there, care about them, and tell them that you care, all right? So be especially attentive to the family who lost a loved one after the funeral. Now, ladies and gentlemen, paying attention to a family after the funeral is even more important than before the funeral. Now, before the funeral is already very important. But I can tell you, most people need tender, loving care after the funeral. After all the family and friends have packed up and they've left and they've gone home. It's the grieving spouse or the grieving family that's left alone. And usually all the attention then also disappears. While leading up to the family or to the funeral, there was family and friends and calls and food and all kinds of attention. But once the funeral is over, everything seems to die down. That's when the greatest hurt begins to arrive. That's the time that we need to be on the scene to make sure that they know that we care, we're praying for them, asking them how we can help them. So remember, after the funeral is almost more important than before the funeral, all right? Next point, again, is make a note of the date of loss. Remember, I asked you previously to build a database for yourself, whether you do it in a file or electronically or whatever. Now, in this case, you will make note of the date of the death of a loved one. Why? So that on the anniversary date of this person's death, you will call the grieving family, like we've already explained previously. All right? Everybody clear on that? Okay. I know I'm going fast through this, but I know that you are smart and you're up to date and you're with me there. Okay. Then other notable times and occasions that require special attention. There's a whole list of it out at the bottom of page 40. I'm not going to go through all of that. We're moving on to point number 3 on page number 41. Again, if you look in your handbook, it's on page 142. You'll see it right there. There you have your monthly contact. And that's where you can read more about it in the book. Over here, we're just doing a quick introduction so that you can see in the sequence that we're talking about where that fits in. All right, in your guide, the one that you have before you, point number 3, you will see the page references HB 142 to 145. Now, at times, it might not always be possible to stay connected to all your households as you would wish to. Now, having said that, care ministers should never neglect the monthly contact. Everybody say out loud, never. Oh, you've had way too much Chick-fil-A. Everybody say never. You should never, ever neglect your monthly contact. That's what keeps the wheels turning. The care construct requires that all care pastors make direct and personal contact with each household in their flock every month. And the purpose of the monthly contact makes it easy to grasp and appreciate its value. Now, what is the purpose of this monthly contact? Now, this is a contact. In other words, it's not just a finger, not a raised thumb, it's not a wave of the hand and nod of the head. This is actually making a phone call, making that monthly personal contact. Again, I said it previously, I want to say it again. At this point in time, we're not just sending a text, we're not sending an email, any of that, Instagram, no, nothing. You can do that in between. But once a month, there has to be a personal, at least phone call. Some people still appreciate a home visit, but I'm not going to emphasize that because we are in changing times. I make allowance for that. But we have to make a monthly contact with our people, at least with a personal phone call. Now, the purpose, number 1, is to stay in touch with your people. Secondly, to develop healthy and ongoing lines of communication. Ongoing lines of communication. To answer any questions they may have about the church or the care ministry. To inform them of exciting upcoming events and ministry opportunities. And then, number 5, especially, to ask how you could pray for them. That is the way you're staying in touch with them. All right. Now, listen to this really quickly again. Number 1, you're doing so simply to stay in touch. You've got to maintain and retain that contact with each one of your families. You've got to develop an ongoing communication with them. Keep talking to them. Stay in touch with them. They may have some questions. I can tell you, it's amazing and true that many times people leave a church because they have questions that they cannot find the answers for. And because there's uncertainty, they pack up and they leave. Is that the right thing to do? Absolutely not. But unfortunately, it happens. But if we can kind of stop that by answering people's questions, and we may not always have all the answers. And if we don't have the answers, don't make up the answer. It may be the wrong answer. So if you don't know the answer, what should you do? Find the answer. But be sure to call them back and tell them what the answer is. Now, you may not always be able to answer all the questions, and I understand that, but in some way, they've got to have somebody that they can talk to. And then you're going to tell them when you're on the call once a month, wow, there's an exciting month ahead of us. I want you to not forget, I'm sure you've already received the circular or email or whatever from the church. Oh boy, we've got an exciting month ahead of us. Next Sunday this, and Pastor's going to start a new teaching series next Sunday entitled so-and-so. So you are now helping them to stay engaged with the church. You're even doing some advertising, you are doing marketing and promotion, but at the same time you're keeping them connected. They feel informed, and when they feel informed, they still feel even more that they are part of the team and they are part of what's happening in the church. Those things are helping to build the closer relationship with our people. All right? Again, if there are any questions, please make a note and ask when we take a break. All right, again, this month the contact entails more than only an email or a text message. While it should not be a lengthy conversation, it should be cordial and undoubtedly encouraging. Be mindful to let your attitude convey excitement regarding the ministry. Close with a short, uplifting scripture, verse that brings hope and builds faith, and a quick prayer of encouragement. You know, we can overdo things sometimes, especially if we become over spiritual. I'm not sure that anybody these days can become over spiritual, but some people do. And when they call and share a text verse, they quote Psalm 119. Don't do that. One short, powerful, encouraging scripture verse. Now, when you pray, don't pray for everybody in Guatemala and Ethiopia and around the world. That's not what you're calling them for. You're going to pray about their need, short, powerful, faith-filled, based on the scripture you have given them. That's what's going to help you. All right? Does that make sense? Everybody okay? If you're okay, let me hear you say, okay? Okay, Chick-fil-A, that sounds pretty good. You're right, so always we end by, okay, see you on Sunday. That's almost got to become a slogan with you, okay? All right, see you on Sunday. Well, I'm not going to be there on Sunday. Well, nevertheless, I'll see you on Sunday. Well, staying connected with the households in your flock really is the heartbeat of the Care Ministry Network. It is almost always the antidote for people saying, nobody ever cares about me. Your act of staying in touch satisfies that need. All right? On page number 42 at the top, and there again, you've got your handbook reference, pointed for meaningful contact. Be sensitive to the needs of each household. Thank them for their faithful support to the church and for being part of the church family. Now be careful what you say. Don't say to people, I want to personally thank you for being so faithful with your tithes. Well, you don't know if they're tithing or not. You have no clue. And if you do say to them, thank you for being faithful with your tithe, and they are tithing, they're thinking, how in the world did you get the information that they're tithing? So be careful that you don't give any superfluous or meaningless kind of comments, but always give uplifting, encouraging words to them. All right. Be alert for those who may need special attention. Verify the accuracy of personal information and notify the church office of any changes. As you build relationship with your household, be attentive to identify potential care ministers. And this is so important. As you proceed in your ministry, you talk to people, you call them on the phone, you meet with them on Sunday, then you'll say, this couple may make wonderful care ministers. I'm going to recommend them. Or you can even begin to talk to them. You are going to be the people on the ground that's going to help us to identify other people that are not involved in the care ministry that should be involved in the care ministry. And you're going to begin to inform your care shepherds or whoever, or people that you think need to be involved. That's how we grow the ministry even further. All right? After your contact point number C, make notes of things you need to follow up on. Complete the relevant report card, or however means you're going to use. Report your visit to your care shepherd. As a follow-up, send a handwritten card or at least a text message to the household. But in all cases, remember to pray for them regularly. All right. I've covered 3 contacts. Personal contact, Sunday connection, and monthly connection. Number 4 is the easier one, very effective. We call that the celebrative connection. Again, your page references are there, and there are several different connections, but the first one is your birthday connection. As a care minister, you should call each member of your flock on the day of their birthday, and then you can say something like what we've got noted on the bottom of page 42. When you do call to wish them happy birthday, keep it short, keep it sweet, keep it delightful, and pray a blessing over them. Just write that in there, pray a blessing over them. At the bottom of the page 42, pray a blessing over them. Okay? Then there can be other celebrations, and that is be heads up, eyes wide open anytime you interact with the households in your flock. When you talk to them once a month, things like a birth coming up, an anniversary coming up, a celebration, a graduation, something that's coming up, a new baby in the family. If you're attentive to this, it will allow you to pick up on the special occasions in their lives. Okay, on those occasions, it'd be good to call, to send a card, or another appropriate communication under your name, underline under your name, not under the church's name, but your name. And then we give you some ideas of other celebrations. All of those are listed: marriage, anniversary, new home, birth of a baby, and the list goes on. That's not the all-conclusive and complete list. There can be 100 more. Those are just to make you realize what we're talking about. So those are the celebrative connections. They are easier, but if we're not careful, we'll just skip them. Don't skip them. Those are important. Many people make so much of their birthdays, you'll be amazed. And if we join in the celebration, we just help them and make them feel part of the family. All right. The next one is called Fifth Sunday Fellowship. Now, I'm going to go through this, and then I'll come and cover another thought. I almost want to say ahead of time, but let me not go there. What we do know and realize is that most people long to build significant relationships. And we said it yesterday, last evening, that people today are not so much looking for a friendly church, they're looking for friends. And if we can create moments of fellowship for the church, we will be very effective in building strong relationships. So by design, the Fifth Sunday Fellowship allows for meaningful relationships to develop in a relaxed, friendly, and non-threatening environment. Now, when do we do this? I'll go through this and I'll come back and summarize it all. We're suggesting that the Fifth Sunday Fellowship, which occurs 4 times per year, on the last Sunday evening of those months that have 5 Sundays, then care ministers should gather the households of their flock on these Sunday evenings or sometime in the afternoon for a combined time of fellowship. We're saying on the 5th Sunday, Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, care minister, get all 5 of your households together for a time of fellowship. And there are so many alternatives available as one's imagination would allow. Now, where do you do that? You can do it at the care pastor's home, your home. You can do it at the home of one of the household. People may have the facilities, a nice big backyard, a patio or whatever. You can select to go to a restaurant, to a park, or picnic grounds, or even at the church, or wherever it is practical. Just get your 5 people, your 5 families together. Now, we have one church in Houston. They reported back to me that their people love the Fifth Sunday Fellowship so much that they want to do it every month. I said, well, if that's the culture of your church, there's nothing that stops that. Go ahead and do it once every month on a Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening, however you wish to do that. There's no rules and regulations, not in anything that we're talking about over here. Another church had a brilliant idea. I think I'm mentioning it somewhere later. They said to me what they already had all church picnics on, Memorial Day, Labor Day, 4th of July, and I think there was another one, it's not Thanksgiving, but nevertheless, they say they already 3 of their celebrations happen on those when they get all of the church together and they have a fellowship, a picnic on the grounds. And all they did is they took the suggestions of the care ministry, and instead of the people just being all over on the grounds and mixing with each other, they're letting the families gather with the care minister. And in that way, the care minister and the 5 families are sitting together, talking together, conversating together. And now in that way, even the care shepherds can go from group to group to group and visit all of the people. Even the pastor can go and meet with all of the groups because everybody is there. However you do that is up to you. I don't think we ever did those previously. That has become very valuable, and this is where a lot of value also came from. People on those fellowships invited their friends and family and neighbors to that fellowship who would not come to church. But if you invite them to this fellowship and you tell them, we're not going to preach, we're not going to cast out demons, well, you're not going to tell them that in any case, but we're not going to have church, we're not going to preach, it's just fun and fellowship, all the people from our church. Now, indeed, when they do come, they connecting with 3, 4, or 5 families of the church immediately. The next time you invite them to church, they are more open to come because they don't feel like strangers because they've already met some people in the church. The possibilities of your outreaches go beyond description. I've heard so many different things happening. Now, what I wanted to say in the beginning that I want to say now, but I don't want to really emphasize it very heavily. All I want to say is the Fifth Sunday Fellowship of the 5 connections is really optional. If a church feels like that's not where they are, that's not where their culture is, let's just let that go. That's where you are, that's fine. However, don't tell me that because I know different. I know where Glad Tidings is. You would like to fellowship. You would like to get together, all right? So however the leadership and Pastor feels about how you're going to handle Fifth Sunday Fellowship is all up to you. There are indescribable ways and benefits of that fellowship, and I can keep on talking about that. And because I said it is optional, please don't just throw it into the air and say, well, then we're not going to do it. You will miss a whole lot. That's the only time and the only way where the 5 families get together. Why am I saying that? You'll be amazed how many have asked me the question. But if you are appointing a care pastor or care minister over some people, isn't there the possibility that they can split off and start their own little church. No, you can't, because you're not getting together. You're only getting together 4 times a year. That's the only time those families get together. So no, you cannot, with those 4 visits, take the people out of the church to start your own little church somewhere on the corner. So those are things that help us to build the unity in the church, but the major concern are the points that we mentioned in the personal contacts and the connections in the first 4. Now, let's just go back to page 44. Why should we do this? Point number C, primary purpose of these collective gatherings is to use strategic, intentional fellowship to build meaningful relationships. Somebody said, what is fellowship? Somebody said, it's 2 fellows in a ship. Now, be cautious not to over-organize any of these events. Keep the primary focus on fellowship. This could be a time of relaxation, should be. And don't try and do it alone. Don't let the care minister do all of the work. Get the families to be involved. Plan this ahead of time and do it together. All right, the 5th Sunday Fellowship also creates an opportunity for church members to invite their friends, and that's what we're talking about. We said that they would come. Our last sentence is, consequently, they will feel less hesitant to attend church with them and you in the future. All right, benefits of the fellowship. Other distinct benefits of these times of fellowship are that the household get to meet people from other households they have not met before. This type of interaction is essential for many reasons. Some people are naturally reserved and as such do not mingle easily with people they don't know. And also the nature of a typical Sunday service often isn't conducive to developing relationships because we come and go. Generally, we tend to gather with people we already know during our regular church gatherings. At these fellowships, however, when we meet with the households within our flock, we get outside our comfort zones of necessity, meet new people, and make new friends. Additionally, these fellowship gatherings serve as an excellent and convenient opportunity for all the members of the household to put names and faces together. These interactions are particularly useful and helpful when the care pastors call upon them to help one another. In that, what I'm saying is, when they come together in these fellowships and the families get to know each other, and the care pastor would call them, let them know that there's a family that needs help and prayer. They already know who that family is and will be more readily available to pray for them. All right? Okay. Those are the 5 connections. That is how you provide contact. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this that we have just dealt with right now is the heart of the ministry. All the others are why. This is how. If we don't understand the how, it's going to lose its value.